Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. My opponent's gone first and played a phony. I have a pretty grim rack, but I have Whiz, which is going to be better than changing. Whiz scores 30 points. The rack leave is atrocious, so I may need to change next go, but Whiz is certainly best on this go. That's not bad. I draw 3 vowels to go with my 4 consonants. I don't have a bingo. I do have the 5-letter play Vifter, which totally sorts the rack out. A rack leave of CO is fine. And at the moment Vifter plays in row G. I'm looking to see what else I have. Right, all of those words are fine. Vifter is blocked. I'm going to have to find something else. I'm looking to see if I have anything which goes after ZA, and I don't. I do have the F for going after if, to make if and only if. So I could have a play ending OF. I could play DOF, leaving ACVI. I'd rather retain only 1 high-scoring tile, but it's going to be difficult to play off 2 of C, F and V. Yeah, I think DOF is the best I can see, and this is going to, well, 26 points, and this rack leave is better than changing. I draw an S, which is good. I'm still some way away from a bingo, but I ought to be able to resolve this rack and leave a decent leave. I've got Ivy on my rack, I've got Davy, I've got KV. So hopefully one of those will play somewhere good. This is quite a blocked board, but that's fine since I do not have a bingo. I'm 20 points ahead at the moment. If and only if takes a Y after it. I do have a Y. But I do want to play off the V with the Y. As long as the V's on my rack, it's going to hinder my bingo prospects. Woo takes a D after it, so I could have a play in row K ending DY, playing underneath DOF. But I would be retaining the V if I did that. So at the moment I can't see anywhere for any of my YV plays. Maybe that will change when my opponent has made his move. There aren't many openings on this board. O'Fay does take an S after it, so column L, column 11 is available to me. But I can't see any moves which justify playing my S on this move. Right, my opponent plays Pat for 20. So, does anything play? Ivy doesn't play. nor does Davy. Okay, so what do I have which goes after DA? I have Y. So I could play K. This kind of perpetuates a little ladder heading towards the bottom of the board. But until I resolve my rack, that's not a bad thing. Can I do better than K? I think I'd rather keep the V than the Y, but is that correct? Very tricky rack. Certainly will be a best play. I'm wondering if I have a play beginning at L1, which would score well, but I certainly don't have a 6-letter play, and any 5-letter play is going to score a similar amount to K. This is not too bad of a leave, and 27 is a pretty good score. And the rack still hasn't matured into a bingo. I have 2 Vs, which is problematic. And I don't have an A. With an A I could play Vav. But I do have Div and Dive and Dev. So I should certainly be able to offload one of the Vs with no problem. K is a really blocky move because only an H goes underneath a C, so my opponent may be struggling to find anywhere to play. He may have to burn off an S cheaply in column 11, or play in row J underneath the Y of Au Fait for a small score. And he may also change his tiles, presenting me with a problem. Through an I would have Vivid. Great, just 15 points for my opponent. Now, can I play off both Vs? Because with an S, I'd like to play a bingo as soon as possible, and as long as I've got Vs on my rack, my prospects are hampered. Acne does take a D after it, so I could play Dives in column 14. 38 points, that's a pretty good score. It's not opening up too much for my opponent because the V is similar to the C and not... well, it's better than the C in taking no tiles at all to its left or right. So this is what I'm thinking of. Dives for 38. And if I don't play that, if I play through, say, the N of Acne to play like Vined, 26 points, 12-point difference. Well, this is not obviously better. But it's not obviously worse either. I'm close to, well, medieval was the word which popped into my mind, but I don't have that. Velamen is good, and I can play that in column 12, placing the M on the double letter square. That would certainly resolve this rack. This is a fairly balanced rack. I ought to be able to score reasonably well. Velamen has been blocked. The trouble with this board is it is exceptionally blocked. The bottom left of the board is blocked by K, and Wiz pretty much takes out the top left of the board, though I note that Wiz does take an S after it. Now, the G of Gave does not take an A or an E underneath it, so I can't play in row M. I could play Maven at F12 down. That's not going to score very much. I'm wondering if I can play in column 15 parallel to dives. My opponent playing through the V has removed its ability to block a parallel play. I don't have anything which goes after the I of dives, so such a move would have to begin with an E and it wouldn't play off the V. Do I have something in column 13 starting at I13, playing parallel to dives on its left-hand side? Well, Vila is good, but it's not a 5-letter play. Yeah, I can't see anything there. Maybe Maven is the best I can do. I don't like this because it provides an easy or several easy opportunities for my opponent to score. And it only scores 14 points. Is that really the best I can do? And I'm leaving myself a vowel-heavy rack leave. Let's think about this. Gave takes an A in front, so I could play clave. Gosh, that's... in some ways that's open, and in some ways it's not, because my opponent would need an S to take advantage of that. It's 29 points, which is a lot more than the 14 I was looking at for Maven, so this is a superior play. I'm wondering if clave takes an R after it. I have a 60-point lead at the moment. I think clave takes an R and an S. I have an R. If that stays open, I may well try using that hook. I could play Mina as a 6-letter play. Or N-arm, E-N-A-R-M, that would be nice. That would place the M on the double letter square at O12. And that would score over 40 points. I've also got Re-Man at I13 down. 24 points. And the problem with that is that I'm playing off 3 consonants and leaving myself with 4 vowels, so that's a bad play. I'm sure that's not going to be optimal. Yeah. Okay, well that could have been worse. I do have mean, M-E-A-N-E, at N2, which sorts out the rack. Leaves a decent rack leave. But it does open up O1. And I'm putting in a vowel next to a premium square at O4, which could then be tripled, so I am risking a big score by my opponent. But I'm not giving him a bingo lane. Well, I'm wondering about playing right above tinier. I could get 21 by placing mean beginning at N7. Yeah, I quite like that because the triple letter square at N10 is quite hot. Just wondering if I can place my M there, but I can't see a way of doing that. Now I could play meaner, but I would only get 1 extra point for it, and the R is worth more than that on my rack, as part of my rack leave. Yeah, all those words are good. Fairly balanced, and I've got the J for score. But still a very blocked board. I don't have a bingo. Jester would be a 6-letter play, but that would burn the S. I don't wish to do that unless it's justified. Jolly good, my opponent's changed. That may be a reflection of his rack or the tightness of the board. Now, what I could do here is just play off 1 tile. 18 points. The rack leave is pretty good. The S is certainly the key tile because it can be placed in front of whiz. And by playing J, I'm not opening the board, so if my opponent is struggling on this blocked board, he's going to continue to struggle. I don't want to give him easy opportunities of making moves. Just wondering if there's anywhere much better for my J or any better score available, for example in column 13 beginning at I13. No, I can't see such a move, so I think J is fine. Okay, I have Soleret. It doesn't end in an S, unfortunately. Now the floaters on this board are the N and E of Acneed. I would have Entresol through the N, but that doesn't end in the N. And gosh, have I got Slow Tree? Yes, I have. Wow. I have Slow Tree in column 13, and, well, I'm grateful for my match 2 nights ago against Brett Smitheram, where he played this move. I can't be sure I would have spotted it if I hadn't seen it so recently. Slow Tree, 70 points. Excellent. And this is pretty good. I have Dilator, so I have Dilators playable in row C. Do I have a second bingo? The floaters are simply those at the top of Slow Tree. Can't see anything through the L. Toroidal. Well, toroidal is good. It does not play. What about the E of Slow Tree? That looks promising. Well, nothing's jumping into my mind, and if there were a bingo there, it would be enormously high probability, so I certainly would have studied it. Tailored though. Hang on, tailored goes. Gosh, okay. Does tailored have an anagram? It may do. My opponent could scupper both of those bingos by just playing parallel to Slow Tree. But at the moment, they're both available. The C of K is also a floater for future reference if I had an S, because an S goes in front of Pat. And the S front hook of whiz is still available. But that exhausts the bingo lanes on this board. Great, I draw a 5-point penalty for slow tree. So I now have a 139-point lead. Tailored? Well, I'm just wondering if idolater is the anagram or an anagram of tailored. Goodness knows why I'm struggling with that particular letter set. Well, I'll play tailored if I can. Neither tailored nor dilators hits a double word square. But tailored hits triple letter squares rather than double letter squares. Right, are all these words good? I think they are. And 51 points for my opponent, so that's good for him. Do I have any bingos through these double letter sets? So I do have the OUS ending. Can't see anything there. AL duplicates letters on my rack. Can't see anything there. KO, no. And double E. Well, I haven't studied the nines, so I'm not going to dwell on this. I've only got 7 minutes left, and there are 29 tiles in the bag, so I am short on time. I am still ahead by 70 points. My opponent has closed down all the floaters in slow tree. So I don't need to open the board up. I'm looking at the bottom right of the board, parallel to dives, to see if I have a move down onto the triple word square at 015. So a move beginning D, E, T, or T or D go after N, E. So is there something there? I'm actually going to have to play jolly quickly. 6 minutes is not very much at all. I'm not sure where the time's gone. Okay, I better just get the door. Right, I'm back. Okay. Well, I am ahead, but I'm in a tight spot here. This is a problem on a very tight board, is that it works against you. No, I don't know. I was thinking of playing Gar. I can't play parallel to Quakes because KO doesn't take a letter in front of it. Gosh, this is so hard. Well, I don't like this. I'm sure this is suboptimal. But I couldn't spend any longer. I do have a 100-point lead. And this board is really tight. I have an H for going underneath. Gosh, that's a good move. 39 points for my opponent. Okay, I don't like this at all, but the O isn't a particularly helpful floater, and it's not opening the board otherwise. The H wasn't particularly useful for going underneath the C of K, because I wasn't going to score very much, and it would have opened the board up, and I don't want to do that. There's still a blank unseen. Great, that's not a particularly useful opening. Got 3 minutes left. I have no idea where the time has gone in this video. Gosh, 18 tiles still in the bag. Everything was looking so rosy after slow tree. Okay, this is pretty awful. I really want to be playing off more tiles because I don't want to be giving my opponent an opportunity of getting the last blank, especially with the Swizz whiz hook. That could bring him right back in the game. The B of bleed takes an O in front. I've got plenty of O's. So I could play a proto, almost no score. But it does burn 5 tiles. And it stops and it takes out the Swizz hook, so a 3 or 4 letter play on top of bleed would be good. So topo I think is good. This is an incredibly restricted board in terms of openings. There are no S's left, so the blank is the only route to salvation for my opponent. If I do play topo to block Swizz, I will of course be opening up row D. Great, there goes the blank. 31 points for my opponent. My biggest enemy now is running out of time. I think I prefer proto. One more tile played off. Proto and ob. Lim er is good. Wow, that actually plays in row F. Probably will not stay open because this board is so tight that the only opportunities to play words are around the word I've just played. My lead has shrunk. I'm only 50 points ahead at the moment. Not really surprising after scores of 11 and 4 and 18. Tight boards are strange beasts. Sometimes they're really helpful when you're ahead, and other times, like this, they're not helpful. Your opponent somehow does manage to put in high scores and you just do not have the opportunity to score well. Maybe a play of Lobo would have been better, since I no longer needed to block Swizz. Because Proto has actually provided a number of opportunities, including the triple word square at A8. If Limia is blocked and A8 isn't, I could play Limbo. Looking at the tiles that are left. Okay. My bingo is blocked. I've got 1 minute 50 on the clock. I don't have anything to go in front of P. Okay, 4 tiles left, so playing off 3. We'll leave 1 in the bag. Great, I draw the H. That was the only tile left in the bag which scored more than 2 points. There are no bingo lanes on this board. Limp has taken out all of the bingo lanes, all of the floaters created by Guiro. I am 44 points ahead. I've got the B and the H as scoring tiles, and I've got a balanced rack. Now I can play BOH at M2 for 20 points. And that should be enough. I've got 1 minute 22 seconds. My opponent's got 7 minutes on his clock. Okay. Can't see anything. Gosh, is Bowyer good? Tempting to try that. Think it may be. Bowyer. Let's find out. If it does, it ends the game. Ah, it's not good. Okay. And I'm only 32 points ahead. Well, I've got BOH in row M, and I've also got just a bow in column 4. Okay, so let's play BOH. So I'm 36 points ahead. I've got 4 tiles, or 4 points on my rack, so my opponent would need to score 32 to draw, and he's not going to do that. Now, if my opponent doesn't go out, I've got Ayuri as a 4-letter word, but I'm not sure that plays anywhere. No, so I may be looking at some very low scoring plays. Rube is good, so I could play that at K2 down, 12 points. And I've got a rug for 4 points at B4 down. Both pretty dismal scores. Okay, so my opponent has still not gone out quite. I've got 39 seconds left. It's 16 points. My opponent's only got one tile left, so he certainly will be going out. Yeah, that's fine. Well, that was a pretty grim game. The final score, 343 to my opponent, 362 to me. A winning margin of 19 points. Let's see what I missed. Let me just reply to my, to my opponent. Okay, so my opponent went first with a phony, then Fizz and Wiz. I think Wiz was better. VW is not good, not a good combination. Now here I could have played Devo for 22 at J4. I see, making Woo as well. Instead I played Doff for 26. I think Doff is better. Okay, now here I could have played Vid at L4 or Avid. I played K for 27. Yeah, I don't think there's a great deal between those choices. Now here, Vives, yeah, at D6, Vives and Wiz, that would have gotten rid of both V's, and that would have been better than my move of Dives. Velamen was playable at... Oh, dearie me. Okay, that's remiss. I thought my opponent had blocked Velamen with his play of Gave, and he had not. Okay, I don't like it when that happens, but it has just happened. And Clave looks like it was the second best play. And yeah, various plays in row N are being suggested here, one of which was the one I played. Now this is where I played Jai for 18 because I liked the rack leave of Streel. And I could have got 10 more points and had a rack leave of ELR. Well, I think my move was better. Slow tree was the only bingo. And this is where I struggled to find a play. Dacoit was playable through KO for 22 points. And Gid and Gad looked like they were the next alternatives, and actually Gid and Gad I think are better than Dacoit because Dacoit opens up column 15. Tar and CH and Par for 26 points, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's better than my play of Row. The rack leave here is pretty awful. Rialto at E5, didn't consider that. That's quite nice. Rialto and Ob. Instead, yeah, Russo was just a bad play. And here I think was where I started to become really short of time, only 2 minutes on the clock, and well, there just weren't many good moves available. A14 Opal parallel to Zeiss. Actually, that's pretty good, 32 points, but everything else is lowly scoring. And C14 Abid. Okay, parallel to the top of Slow Tree, 19 points. Yeah, I think this illustrates when you're really short of time, you just don't have the ability to locate good moves. Time pressure puts pressure on you. This was where I played my phony. And here I played Bow, and I could have played Bure, which would have been slightly better. And finally, I could have played your for 17 at 01, whereas I played for 16 at 03, so slightly suboptimal. Well, that was quite a contrast to recent games. It was an incredibly tight board. I think the analysis afterwards demonstrates that even though during the game I was despairing of finding good moves, actually on every single occasion there was an available good move, and it wasn't particularly obscure. None of the words that were being suggested were words I had not studied. So I hope that video was of value and interest to you. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.